Hi everyone, welcome back to Layer Academy. It's Mickey again, and in this video we're going to be working on our HTML layout for our image upload service. Now because it's going to be extremely simple, I'm not going to be using Laravel Mix, but this could possibly be a lesson in the future if there is enough interest. For now, we're just going to be pulling our files in via Content Delivery Network and then referencing our style sheet for any minor changes that we need in our project. If we open up our Sublime Text Editor, let's start off by creating a new folder in Resources and Views and naming it Layouts. Within that folder, let's create a new file and let's name it app.blade.php. This is going to be our master template. We're just going to start off with some HTML5 boilerplate and we're going to work on it from there. We'll start off by changing the title of our document, and we want to use the configured application name. So this will be found in our config folder. And now let's add the recommended viewpoint just for responsibility. And now let's start adding our style sheets. Now I already have these style sheets copied, so I'm just going to paste them in here. We're just going to reference the Content Delivery Network, and we're going to pull in Bootstrap as well as a theme for Bootstrap called Lux. Next, let's reference our own style sheet within the public directory. And for that, we will use the assets function, and we're going to go in CSS and style.css. Now, before we move forward, let's create this. So we'll open up public and CSS. Let's get rid of this app.css because we're not going to be using it. And we'll create a new file, and we'll just save it as style.css. And the next thing we want to do within the body here is we need to yield some content out. So we're going to use a function just called yield, and we need to pass this yield function a name. And for now, let's just call it content. We'll be using this in just a couple minutes. Now because we're using Bootstrap, we're going to have to pull in the required JavaScript libraries. Again, I already have them copied, so I'll just paste them in. You can see here I'm pulling in jQuery and Bootstrap. Now, if you're unsure of where this config app name comes from, if we take a look at the config folder and then app.php, you can see it's narrowed down to the environment variable. So let's open up our .env, and right at the top we have an app name. Currently it's set to Laravel, so let's change that to image upload service. And also because we're using spaces here, we're going to have to surround this in double quotes. The next thing we want to do is actually yield some content out to our page. You can see within our body here, we're telling Laravel to yield some content out, but we don't actually have anything working with it. If we open up the welcome.blade file, let's just get rid of everything, and what we want to do is extend this app.blade.php as our main template file. So to do that, we'll just say extends, and we need to make sure we're in the folder layouts.app. Now remember that we wanted to add some content into our page. We can do that by using the section function followed by the name of the content area that we want to put in. And let's just write something like, "Hi, I am the content." So now if we save everything and we try and visit our page, let's see what we get. Well, we have our first error, and it's a call to undefined function assets. And that's because in our link to our style sheet here, we just want to use the asset function. If we refresh again, you can see that we have "Hi, I am the content," and our HTML file is correct. The next thing we want to do is continue working on our HTML file. Right now we don't really have any menu, and we want to pull one in. So let's do this in the template, and we'll say include layouts.partials.navigation. So to create this, we'll make a new folder in layouts called partials, and then within that folder, we'll make a new file called navigation.blade.php. Now once again, I've already copied over some of the HTML that I have here, but you can see it's pretty basic Bootstrap. The only difference is this link for route home. We're going to have to define that in our project. If we load up our routes and then web.php, we can just append it onto the default function that comes with Laravel. We could just say name and then give it the name of home. So anytime we reference this route of home, it's going to go into that function and it's just going to reference the view from that function. If we switch back over to Chrome and refresh, you can see that now we have our navigation bar and we still have the original content. We're almost done here, but we just want to add a few more things. I want to add a little bit more HTML into our content area. Now I already have this copied, but it's pretty basic stuff. So if I switch over to our welcome.blade.php, I'll replace it what we have with this here. You can just see it's just a container with a row and then a column with today's images. Now let me save this, and if we switch back to Chrome, you can see that we're almost done here. The only thing that we really need to do is add a little bit of spacing between the navigation and today's images. Now remember that we had a style sheet here, so this is a perfect place to add this. If we load up our style.css, we'll reference our main section here, so you can see that we have a section with the ID of main, and we want to give it a margin top of 25 pixels. If we switch back to Chrome and we refresh, you'll notice that the changes don't happen right away. If we refresh again, the changes will happen. Another thing we can do if you don't see the changes here is you could right click anywhere on your page, click inspect, and then finally right click on the reload, and you'll have these options for hard reload and empty cache and hard reload. And that brings this video to an end. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.